Keir Starmer, once seen as Labour's beacon of hope after Jeremy Corbyn's contentious leadership, is now staring down the barrel of internal rebellion. In an extraordinary turn of events, one of the Labour Party's own senior officials, Mish Rahman, launched a scathing attack against Starmer during Labour's annual conference. Rahman, a member of Labour's ruling National Executive Committee, NEC, didn't mince his words, branding Starmer as nothing more than a Tory-light, tin-pot Thatcher, Blairite tribute act. His remarks are symptomatic of a growing discontent among Labour's left-wing faction, as Starmer's leadership is increasingly seen as a betrayal of the party's socialist roots. As Starmer's popularity plummets, this internal revolt could be the beginning of the end for his leadership. But first, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more political updates on the UK's ever-changing landscape. Rahman's attack came as a bombshell, not because of its content. Rumblings of discontent have been simmering within Labour for months, but because of the timing. The NEC member chose to deliver his biting critique during Labour's most high-profile event of the year in front of party faithfuls and media outlets. At the heart of Rahman's grievances is Starmer's perceived shift towards the right, a move that has left many Labour members feeling alienated. In Rahman's eyes, Starmer's Labour is indistinguishable from the Conservatives, and he fears that Starmer is following the path of Nigel Farage's Reform UK, especially on issues like immigration. The criticism didn't stop there. Rahman took particular issue with Starmer's recent meeting with Italy's far-right Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. Rahman argued that by engaging with leaders like Meloni, Starmer is signalling a dangerous alignment with right-wing populism. In his speech, Rahman warned that what Farage says today, the Tories will say tomorrow, and Labour might legislate the day after. It was a damning indictment of Starmer's leadership, accusing him of abandoning Labour's progressive values in favour of political expediency. Rahman's comments weren't just hot air, they resonated deeply with many on the Labour left. There is a growing sense that Starmer, in his effort to make Labour more electable, has compromised too much. The left sees this as a betrayal, with some even going as far as to suggest that Starmer is no different from Tony Blair, whose centrist approach to Labour politics has long been a sore point for the party's more radical members. And it's not just Rahman. Starmer's popularity has taken a nosedive, with recent polls showing his approval rating at a historic low. An opinion poll revealed that Starmer's net approval rating had plummeted by 45% since July, now sitting at negative 26%. This puts him even lower than Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, whose approval rating isn't much better at negative 25%. For a leader who, just a few months ago, enjoyed a 19-point approval surplus after Labour's stunning general election victory, the decline is staggering. So, what happened? How did Starmer go from hero to zero so quickly? Much of it has to do with his handling of key issues that have left both the public and his own party members fuming. His decision to scrap universal winter fuel payments for pensioners in the middle of a cost-of-living crisis was seen as tone-deaf at best and downright cruel at worst. The move has been widely criticised, not just by Labour's political opponents, but by party insiders as well. Pensioners, a key voting bloc for Labour, are now questioning whether the party truly has their best interests at heart. Then there's the controversy surrounding Starmer's acceptance of designer clothing from party donors. The optics of a Labour leader accepting luxury gifts while working-class Britons are struggling to make ends meet have not gone down well. Mish Rahman made sure to hammer this point home, sarcastically noting that the only real change Starmer seems to be delivering is the change in their designer clothes and their glasses. The line was met with laughter and applause, but beneath the humour lies a serious critique. Starmer is out of touch with the very people he's supposed to represent. Rahman's speech was a rallying cry for the left, urging them to organise and resist what he described as Starmer's Tory-light policies. "It's vital we continue to organise just as we did against the Tories," Rahman told the audience. His message was clear. If Starmer continues down this path, he will face opposition not just from the Conservative Party, but from within his own ranks. As if Starmer's internal troubles weren't enough, he's also facing external pressure. His government's handling of the summer riots, along with Labour's apparent embrace of right-wing immigration policies, has left many voters disillusioned. Rahman criticised Starmer for not doing enough to combat racism and Islamophobia, which he claims are now rampant in British politics. Instead of fighting these dangerous ideologies, Rahman accused Starmer of fanning the flames by promising Labour's own blitz on illegal immigration. For a party that has traditionally championed minority rights, this shift has been hard to swallow for many Labour members. With his approval ratings in freefall and his leadership under fire, Starmer's position looks increasingly precarious. While Starmer's leadership is being called into question, another figure within the Labour Party is quietly gaining support. Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, affectionately dubbed the King of the North, is seen by many as a potential successor to Starmer. Burnham, who has served as mayor since 2017, is one of the most popular politicians in Labour, and his name has been floated as a possible contender for party leader. Burnham hasn't ruled out a return to Westminster. In fact, his comments at a fringe event during the Labour conference only added fuel to the fire. Surrounded by adoring supporters, Burnham spoke about his commitment to devolution and his plans for Greater Manchester. But when pressed about his future ambitions, he left the door open for a potential leadership bid. Although he insisted that he was focused on his third term as mayor, which runs until 2028, Burnham's refusal to rule out a return to national politics has raised eyebrows. Burnham's popularity is undeniable. In the most recent Greater Manchester mayoral election, he secured a whopping 63.4% of the vote, far outpacing Labour's national performance. According to a YouGov poll, Burnham is the third most popular Labour politician, trailing only former Prime Minister Gordon Brown and London Mayor Sadiq Khan. His popularity among the Labour base, coupled with Starmer's declining approval, makes Burnham a serious contender for the party's top job. But Burnham's path to leadership is not without obstacles. He would need to navigate a party deeply divided between its centrist and left-wing factions. Burnham himself has a complicated history with Labour's leadership. He ran for leader in 2015, but lost to Jeremy Corbyn, a result that still stings for many of his supporters. However, with Starmer floundering, Burnham could be seen as the man to unite the party and bring it back to its roots. Keir Starmer's leadership is hanging by a thread. The internal rebellion, led by Mish Rahman, combined with his sinking poll numbers and controversial policy decisions, has left him in a vulnerable position. The left-wing faction of Labour is growing increasingly restless, and figures like Andy Burnham are waiting in the wings, ready to pounce if Starmer stumbles further. While Starmer still has time to turn things around, the cracks in his leadership are beginning to show. If he cannot unite his party and regain the trust of the public, his time as Labour leader could be short-lived. The question now is whether Starmer will rise to the challenge, or whether Labour will look for new leadership as the 2029 election approaches.